Hey Maureen, hey Marie. Welcome. Okie dokes. I finally have things ready ahead of time, even though it's like 4 minutes ahead of time. I am happy to say that it's better than what I've managed to get right the last couple of times. So that is very, very good. Okay, so I've got my tea. I have everything sorted. The delivery man just came about 2 minutes ago, so hopefully we won't get any disruptions during the stream. And I might just wait 1 or 2 minutes before I really get into the details of everything. One thing I will talk about though is, who was it that asked me? Rita, I think it was Rita from Patreon that asked me about the pencil setup that I have over here. No, it was, it was Ronnie. Ronnie asked me. I don't know where I got Rita from. So she's asking, what is the setup you have for your pencils, and did you buy it or did you make it? So that is what I was asked. Hey Daniel. And Daniel asked me about the dog bed. You didn't get a picture of the entire studio. The dogs have space to lie, and they always do. And they've got like, I don't know, 8 different beds around the house. And it's funny because it doesn't matter how many beds they have around the house. They will just lie wherever you are. The closest to you they can be, they will be. So if the bed is 1 meter away from me, they'd rather be 1 inch away from me. So... okay, yes. So I am going to show you, I made sure to take a picture and I'll put it up on the screen. So I think there's a couple of seconds lag, but we'll see how that goes. And once it's on the screen, I'll tell you about it. Hey Steve, first time you've been able to make a live stream. Well, that's good. Welcome. Okay, so the pencil set that you can see on the screen is, it's a bunch of marker trays that I bought, and each tray can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. So it has 12 little sections in each tray, and then you can sort of attach them to one another. I wouldn't recommend getting these trays because in the center area of it, I cannot get them to sort of hook into each other properly. So they're not very even because the plastic gaps don't have enough of a gap. So when you force them in, it cracks the trays. So it's not a very good tray. So they're made for marker pens, not so much pencils. But this sort of works out even though the trays aren't very even and some of them are cracked. You can't really see it. But it works out okay because I can put all my Prismas and my Polychromos pencils together. So on the left side of each 12-piece tray, I've got the Polychromos pencils, and on the right side I've got the oil-based pencils. Yes, Jody, it's a marker storage unit thing. But yeah, I wouldn't get it again. Like, I was thinking about getting something like this for all my different kinds of pencils, but I might just build something if I can't find something else. But this is still going to do the trick. And then I do have this on top of a little wheelie tray. So some of you might have seen where I took a picture of the whole setup yesterday, and you'll see that I have my pencils on a little wheelie tray so that I can literally have it right next to me and I can move it around if I feel like I want to. Honey. So I have my 2 dogs next to me. One is destroying a tennis ball, so if you hear funny noises, that's probably what it is. Okay. Any other questions before I get started? So I think what I'd like to do is, with the first few minutes, do like a Q&A where you guys get to ask your questions, and then afterwards I can focus mainly on whatever we are working on. So those were the pencil trays. The sheet of paper that I'm using the Arches watercolor paper, and this is 220 GSM smooth watercolor paper, and I'm pretty sure it's hot pressed. Ronnie says she bought a great setup from Kmart. Set of thin drawers, 5 drawers to the set, and I have 4 altogether. Yeah, please share some pics. I mean, in fact, you can get it from Kmart. That'd be great, because Kmart is so cheap. I didn't even think to look there. Okay. So what I've done is I have created a space with my masking tape, which is about A5 size, or 5 by 7 inches, I think is the closest size for those that use inches. So I'm not doing a massive section. I'm gonna have to keep my live stream drawings about this size if I'm gonna get it finished in a day, because I think with the last couple I just went too big. The one that I did last week for those in the UK, the owl, that one was a good size. It wasn't too big. I just ended up getting really tired, so I made that over 2 days. But yeah, so we should be getting this done in a day, because if I compare the actual size of my little praying mantis, it's only a small section, and then the blurry background we're going to be doing with our PanPastels. So the PanPastel tray I have is this one. So let me zoom out. I'm not necessarily going to use all these colors. This is just the green, sort of green-brown tray that I had. So I just took this one out. I do have all the PanPastel colors. You do not have to get PanPastels to do these tutorials. You can use different ways to get a background in. The only reason I use PanPastels is to block in a background real quick. So that's why they are handy. Especially if you're going to do a blurry background like the green in the little praying mantis reference, it's just quick and easy to do that with the PanPastels, and you don't have to worry about any sort of lines, because it's just a smooth sort of charcoaly powder. And then I'll do a couple of layers of it and spray in between with my fixative. I'm gonna test it to see which fixatives I prefer. I got 2. I've got the Micador workable fixative, which I like using a lot on my drawings that are not on sanded paper, but I might see how it goes and potentially use the brush and pencil textured fixative. Because I'm running out of the Micador one, I need to buy a new one. So not even use that one, and I'll see how I go. When I use the fixative spray, I do tend to cover all my stuff with a towel or something, so that especially my cameras and my iPad in front of me, because I do not like getting the fixative all over them. So I'll tell you what PanPastel colors I'm using at the time, but you don't have to be very specific about the PanPastel colors that you are using, because your background, you can do with it whatever you want. The reference that we're using is from iStockPhotos.com. I do have an account with them, so I can get a lot of photo references in a month. If there's a particular photo that you guys really, really like, let me know, and I can see if I can get it to you, because I don't even get a chance to download a fraction of the images that I'm able to download every month. So that is sort of lucky for you guys if you guys want an image. I know technically I'm not supposed to do that, but I mean, it's still getting used the way through an iStock account, so I guess it doesn't matter which account you guys are using. Hi Jamie, nice to see you on here. Okay, so I am going to get started. So it's 5 minutes past 10. I haven't had any other questions come up, so I'm just going to get going. I'm just going to start. Oh gosh. too many cameras set up. Make sure that my Canon camera is going. So I'm also going to be uploading the full-length video from my DSLR camera so that you guys get everything in high definition without having the little videos on the side of the stream. So you can watch it via the stream, but if you want an even better quality video, I will be uploading the real-time video from my DSLR camera. I will be doing that shortly for the owl that I did, because the owl I didn't get to record with this camera above, which is much better than using the webcam to record. Oh, and the reason why things just were not working out with the last couple of live streams was because my laptop is not a very strong laptop. So my boyfriend put in a new, stronger hard drive, and it works like a dream. So it's capable of handling the extra pressure of the cameras. I do use a video capture card, which I thought was supposed to do that, but I guess I'm not technically savvy enough to realize that it's not. So at least both cameras are working nicely now. So you guys will be able to see much better, and if I zoom right into the praying mantis as I'm drawing it, you guys should be able to see it on your full screen. So it should be at 1080p. But also, like I said, I will be doing a real-time video from my DSLR so that you guys can not be interrupted by the two little screens of me and the praying mantis at the bottom. You guys have your references on Patreon. You can download them. You should have the blurry reference and the outline. I may have accidentally actually put the full reference on there, so just check it out. I don't know if I did. Could you consider using? Hey Ronnie, yes, if you guys have a picture that I really like and the quality is really high, I would consider using yours, yes. Okay. So I'm going to freehand this outline. I feel like I'm comfortable enough doing that. It's not a difficult one. You guys can, of course, print it on a black and white piece of normal printing paper, color the back in with a graphite stick, and then use your etching tool or a sharp mechanical pencil to outline your reference onto your drawing paper. I know that some of you that try this sort of tutorial live stream with me usually have your outlines prepared before the time. So for this one, I am just going to freehand it. So I do have the reference right in front of me on an iPad. And with a drawing like this, I don't care if the details aren't spot on. So that's the beauty about drawing a bug, I guess. It's not going to make a difference if you don't get every detail correct. So I'm not too fussed about getting a perfect outline. And the same with the leaf. No one's going to tell if you haven't drawn the leaf perfectly, unless they obviously go and compare it, which no one does. So don't worry about it. So maybe this will also be a good opportunity for you to sort of practice a freehand where you know you don't have to be too pedantic about the details. Okay. I think you guys can see that all right. That's as good as the lighting is going to get. So hopefully the lighting is okay for you guys. I've got 3 lights. I've got a big one over here and I've got 2 OT lights over it. So that is just how it's going to be. Okay, so looking at the reference, I can see there's like a triangular section just above the stalk. So it's all about observing. So take note of the basic shapes first. It's got a really cute, tiny little stringy leg. So this is a 2B mechanical pencil, which is a bit dark, but I realized that when I'm doing my live streams, I need to make it a bit darker than what I usually would so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So it certainly will be quicker for me to just transfer the image, but it's not a giant drawing, so I'm okay with spending the time to figure out the outlines for myself. Okay, so the butt section of this guy. So I've made this leaf quite high, so it's going to be higher than in the reference. It curves a bit more than that. I've got another section here. This is a wing. Daniel says I don't have green, so we're using grays. Yeah, you could use any color with the pinks. It should be fine. Plus, you can use your pencils. You don't have to use PanPastels. So you could still use your pencils and your solvent to block in that background. It's just going to take a bit more time, that's all. I seem to be making my praying mantis a lot bigger. Honey. So I need to reduce the size. They are such weird little creatures, aren't they? Maybe instead of reducing the size, I will redo the leaf. And it'll just be a little bit more of a zoomed in praying mantis. Okay, since I expanded on the front section of the body, the tail area is just a little bit above the head, so that can be a bit higher. So can that, and so can that. Okay. So I'm gonna redo this leaf. Jody saying she got her first monthly Patreon gift yesterday with a thank you hedgehog card. I'm glad you like it. Okay, so from the leaf I can see that this front foot section of the insect is on the center vein of the leaf, so at least that sort of gives me an idea of where to position the leaf. And just next to it, this starts. Okay. And this goes just over. It's got a little shadow. Okay, that section goes over. Okay, now I'm trying to think if I want to use masking fluid to protect it from the background. I think I will. So I just want to make sure the outer shape is exactly what I want before I put masking fluid on it. No, maybe I will be able to adjust the brightness. Not that. No, I don't know. Okay, carrying on. Yeah, I've been watching the news with all the things, the dramas happening now with the hurricanes and stuff. And it's the second one. This morning, like, I saw a video that the sun expressed a very large solar flare, and it will reach us sometime on the weekend, and it could possibly it was the strongest solar flare that they've experienced since sometime in the 1940s or 50s. And the last time it happened, it destroyed all the telegraph communication lines, and this one is even bigger, and they're estimating that it could destroy a lot of the electronics. So we gotta wait and see on the weekend to see if that's actually gonna happen. And you can see photos of the solar flare as well. They have different sort of cameras in space that take photos with various sort of lenses, so you can see the I don't know, they got like a blue color and a sort of green or teal sort of color, and you can see the flares in various ways. I guess they test different things. They test for x-rays, they test for radiation, they test for protons. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see how everyone goes. If we all lose electronics. But gosh, there's so many claims happening now. They're also worried about meteors that are sort of coming into the vicinity, and if there's enough of a electromagnetic pull from what's happening with the sun, it could make it collide with Earth. So there's a lot of things that are being said. I sort of don't worry about anything until it happens. There's no point. And if something like that happens, hopefully it will be quick and I won't even know what hit me. Hey Joanna. Yeah, I think Margina could have a lot of different effects. I'm semi-excited about it, if it does happen. Because not so much the physical effects on Earth, but it has a lot of, it will have different energy effects. So the energy will go right through the Earth, and the physical effects will affect the surface of the Earth. But yeah, it'll be interesting to know what that sort of energy can do to a person. I don't know. I'm sounding crazy. Oh my gosh, Jana, you're in Florida. And you're painting. Wow, so you're gonna stay? You're not gonna leave for a little while maybe and come back after? I guess you guys would be able to assess for yourselves what you want to do, I guess. Okay, so I've done that. I'm quite happy with the outline. I'm not going to worry about the details inside of the praying mantis yet. So I'm going to cover it in masking fluid. And then we can wait for the masking fluid to dry and then do the background. Yes, you have to do that. You're painting all the boards. Wow. Yeah, wow, Joanna. I love your mentality. I think I'd probably do the same. If my animals can't come with me, I stay with my animals. Wow. Well, I'll be thinking a lot about you, and I would appreciate if you can maybe just keep me updated on how things are going. That'd be good. Okay, I'm just going to get some masking fluid. Joanna, Nanette's near where I live. She's in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Okay, so I have a little bottle of masking fluid over here. Nanette, is it Melbourne, Australia? I don't know if there's another Melbourne in the world. Melbourne, Florida. Oh, that's funny. It's Melbourne, Florida, not Melbourne, Australia. Yes, Maureen, when this dries, you can just peel it off. That's right. Smells horrible, this stuff. Like a sour smell. Okay. So, I'm gonna wait for that to dry. what I might do is start deciding what PanPastels I want to use. Okay. So looking at my reference, I've got quite a dark color. So that really dark color in the top right and top left corner, I want to use a blue because blue and green are going to go really well together. So this is Phthalo Blue. Number 560.1. So Phthalo Blue extra dark. So that's going to be for the real dark areas. And then for the greens, I want to use Chrome Ox Green extra dark, number 660.1. I want to use 640.1 permanent green extra dark. So that's going to be my dark greens. And then getting a little bit lighter. There is some brownish tones in there that I'd like to put in. So I'm going to use the Raw Umber shade 780.3. Stephanie says, shoot, I'm late. You're not too late, Steph. All I've done is I've freehanded the outline and I've filled in the praying mantis with a masking fluid, and now I'm picking the PanPastel colors, and then we're just sort of still waiting for this to dry, and then we can apply the PanPastel background. Okay, so the colors that we have, I'll go through all of them again after I've picked them. Okay, so and then I really like this bright green. I know it's not really in there, maybe a little bit, but I'm going to use the bright yellow green shade, number 680.3. And if I need to lighten anything up in the end because I might go too dark, I will use my bright yellow green tint, 680.8. Okay, so those are my PanPastel colors for the background. So I'll go through them again. I got 560.1, which is Phthalo Blue extra dark. Yeah, PanPastels are pretty amazing. Then I've got 66.01 Chrome Ox Green extra dark. And then 640.1 permanent green extra dark, 780.3 raw umber shade, 680.3 bright yellow green shade, and 680.8 bright yellow green tint. So those are the PanPastel colors I'm happy with for the moment, and we'll see how it goes. So I will also be doing PanPastels on the bottom leaf, same colors. I might just add a bit of this green for the leaf section. So look at your reference image if you want to get a better idea. So 640.3 permanent green shade. A science lesson. I don't know if it's much of a science lesson. But yeah, it's fascinating. Fascinating. I'm just going to make sure I have my fixative ready. So I have them in the tray here. So I'm going to be using my Micador workable fixative matte. There's only a little bit left, so if it doesn't get me all the way, I'm going to use my textured fixative by brush and pencil, because that's the only one I have left. So I need to get more of the Micador one. These sponges I'm using for the PanPastels, I'm using one with a little round edge and one with like a little square bit. And I will check my colors by mixing it on one of these little sponges. So handy having a tray right next to you. And then I'll keep a few pieces of tissue around just to dab off any excess powder that I might get on my sponges. Okay. So it's starting to dry a little around the edges. Now I absolutely do not want to go over this when it's still wet, because the last thing you want is having PanPastel on your sponge and then going over it and then swooping all the sticky masking fluid on it, because then you may as well replace the spongy bits. So let's wait for that to dry. I think there's maybe a good opportunity for you guys to ask me questions. I might go and look on Patreon, because I know there were some questions on Patreon where someone asked me about doing a Q&A actually. So I might have to check what those questions were, and I can answer some of them, and then maybe do a live Q&A on Facebook or something. Joanna's asking me, have I tried using paint thinner over PanPastels? I've been using them to do portraits and then colored pencils and blending with thinner, and it works. I would use my solvents over PanPastels only if I've already sealed it with a layer of my workable fixative. Otherwise it just turns into a clumpy, powdery sort of mess for me. Maybe you can explain what you do in a little more detail so I understand. Because, yeah. Do you do the same sort of thing? Okay, let's go see where those questions were. I think just trying to look for it now. I can't seem to find it. Someone asked me a whole bunch of questions. No, I can't find it. Sorry, I don't want to waste too much time doing that. So this is starting to dry. Nanette, that sounds lovely. I'm sure you can do that your time of the day. It's too early for me to do that sort of thing. Not that I'm drink anyways. So Johanna says she's been using it as a base layer for the pencils. Then she uses the pencils and layers them, then blends it out with a small amount of gamsol. Yep. Too much and it clumps. I found that maybe because I'm using absorbent paper. I don't know. I've been using the Mantis. Don't know if that's how you spell it. I know which paper you mean. Sometimes I'll spray it with the Spectra Fix lightly. Okay. So you use the PanPastels as a base, then you use the pencils over it, and then you layer the pencils, and then you blend it out with your solvent. And wow, and you must... Do you use a very light layer of PanPastel maybe? So it doesn't, maybe that's why it doesn't clump too much? Because I use really thick layers of PanPastel, so maybe that's my problem. Okay. So this part is okay. Maybe we can do the leaf. Just got to be careful around there. And then we can do the top section. So we can start with the section of it now at least. Marie is saying that she's still getting used to using solvent and find it quite hard, much harder on watercolor paper. Pretty sure I end up getting bored and apply too much Zest-it. Yeah, you gotta be really patient with the Zest-it. And you also gotta layer a few layers of pencils. Don't just put one layer down and then blend it. You need to put a couple of colors down. So for instance, you know what, this praying mantis is going to be a good example of it, because the whole praying mantis we're just doing in pencil, and it's going to be a process of layering first, and we're going to use the blurred version to layer. Just keep that in mind. And then I will show you when is an appropriate time for you to use the solvent, and try and show you how little you require to use. I gotta press record on my DSLR every 12 minutes because it doesn't record for longer than that, which is very frustrating. But anyways, let's get on with it. So I think actually I might start with the top right section. Using the blue, the Phthalo Blue Extra Dark 560.8. You can use whatever sponge you like. I actually need to get new sponges. Mine are starting to lose some life. This is such a beautiful blue, and it'll work very, very nice with your greens. So just pay attention to the dark sections. Now, I know that I am quite zoomed. Actually, maybe I should zoom in on my image, because mine is not going to be quite that dark, because my praying mantis is bigger. Actually, it doesn't matter. I quite like, even though I'm sort of zoomed in on my image because I made the praying mantis so big, it's not really scaled to size. I'm not going to worry about zooming in on the background as well, because it's a blurry background, so it doesn't matter how you actually apply it. So until this dries, I'm just working on the areas sort of around it. Jamie's asking, are the PanPastels a loose powder or more like a powder foundation? It's more like a powder foundation. It's very compact. Yeah, so Joanna's been doing very, very light foundations of PanPastels, and that's why she was able to apply pencil on top and blend it with solvent without it becoming a muddy mess. If you don't understand what I just said, don't worry about it. Okay, so that's that blue. Now I would like to use my chrome oxide green extra dark number 660.1, and I still use the same sponge. If you want to get any excess off, just dab it onto a paper towel or some tissue paper or something. So I still want these layers to be a lot darker than what this is now, but it's not going to get much darker until I seal it with the fixative. So I will use my Micador fixative, and then when I seal it and apply the next layer will be much darker, so it'll be as dark as I want it. So if you're doing a black layer, you probably want to do 2, 3, maybe even 4 layers of black PanPastels, and seal each layer between with your fixative. Otherwise, you are just going to apply thick black and it's going to move around and it's not going to get as dark as what you'd like it. And that is because you need to seal in those bottom layers first with your solvents. So I can go over some of these edge sections now because the edges are dry. I'm just being careful not to move into the wet sections. Oh, and just to let you know what masking fluid I'm using. I love this stuff. I don't like the smell, but I like the feel of it compared to the Newton. Means the Newton ones. So the brand I'm using is the National Art Materials masking fluid, and you can buy a nice 500ml bottle like this, which is going to last you a long time. And then I like to buy a little bottle, separate little bottles like this with a real pointy nozzle, and then I can at least sort of draw the masking fluid on without having to use a brush, because using a brush and using masking fluid is just, it's not a very fun process. I'm getting a million notifications on my watch. I'm just making sure it's not from any of you guys. So this is sort of off topic, but I want to check on the update of the solar flare, and I'll show you where I'm looking. So the website is called solarham.net, and the latest update, okay, I'll first tell you what happened. So the sun has ejected a huge solar flare yesterday. So it's called, the first update said that region 2673, which is the region of the sun that had this flare, this region faces the earth. So it had a solar flare at approximately 09:10 UTC September 6. This is the first X-class event to be detected since May 2015. And this active region is still in a decent position for Earth-directed eruptions. More updates will be provided. Okay, and then the next update says, the largest solar flare of the current solar cycle 24 was just absorbed around region 2673. The massive event measuring X 9.3. So this was another one, a type 2 radio emission with an estimated velocity of 1,969 kilometers per second. A bright coronal mass ejection is visible in the latest stereo head imagery. So you can see a video of this. If you go to Solarham, you can actually see what it looks like when it has the flare. What else does it say? So a bright, fast-moving halo coronal mass ejection is seen leaving the sun following the X 9.3 event earlier today, and does indeed have an Earth-directed component. Because of the sunspot's location now off-center in the southwest quadrant, the bulk of the plasma cloud is traveling to the west. The Earth-directed flank is still significant enough to almost make a geomagnetic storm a certainty by Friday. Sky watchers should be alert for visible auroras during the next several nights, while we await another CME generated by a M5.5 flare. Stay tuned. And then the one that, so there were two flares that happened. I'm sorry, this is off topic. I'll stop quickly. But there's two flares that happened. One that happened on the 4th of September, which apparently just reached us recently, so that one wasn't too big. But yesterday another one happened, and it will reach us sometime on the weekend, and that one was almost twice the size. So the impact of the last one, the coronal mass ejection observed on Monday, swept past Earth at approximately 12 minutes to midnight UTC Wednesday evening. It was a minor to strong geomagnetic storming, will be possible at middle to high latitudes. The timing works well for sky watchers across Scandinavia, Northern Europe, Canada, Alaska, and the Northern Tier USA. So people in those locations, you should totally go outside tonight and see, because you'll probably get to see beautiful auroras. But because the other one that's going to hit us on the weekend is so huge, it's it has a possibility of knocking out all the electronics, of destroying it, burning it out. So I'm curious to see if that would actually happen or not. But anyways, that's that. So solarham.net if you guys want to actually watch the video clips on the flare happening, and they give you a lot more information about it as well. So interesting stuff. So now I'm just going to wipe off all the excess onto a piece of tissue. Everyone's just gone quiet. Oh, Maureen, it's your birthday today. Is it today? If it is, happy birthday. Are you going to be celebrating? The next color I'm going to use, because I'm dying to add some of this bright green. So 680.3 bright yellow green shade. I've wiped this off on my tissue paper just to get any excess off. And this section here has got some of these beautiful greens. Oh, see, that is a date by me today. So tomorrow that'll be for you. So that's why it's telling me it's your birthday now, because today is the 7th for me. I just had a Facebook notification pop up. No, Jana, don't worry about it. Everybody gets busy and relaxed and then they just watch. The nice thing is, if you go too dark with PanPastels, you can just put your lighter layers over the top and it will show up. So I'm not too worried about going too dark. Okay. Now using the Permanent Green Extra Dark 640.1, I want to go in between these sections of the praying mantis. Okay, then using some of my light yellow, I'm gonna lighten up this section here. And then I should be close to being ready to spray with my first layer of fixative. Okay, now I just want to blend that in a little smoother. Jamie, you know, when I got asked that question the last time, I went and had a look, and I was almost certain I didn't have any anymore, because I sadly threw away all the artworks that I didn't like. And I so wish I didn't do that. And maybe this will encourage you guys not to throw away things that you don't like, because they are good to reflect on later down the line to see your improvement. So I don't really have anything to show you how terrible it was in the beginning. Actually, what you could do is, if you go and look on my website and look at the gallery that says 2014, I think, you can see some of the work there, which isn't bad, but it's nothing compared to what I'm able to do now. So maybe that is one way to look at it. I might just add that on. Hello, monster. No, don't bump the camera. No. You can't go under there, sweetie. Move. Thank you. Jamie says, I recently did a horse but stopped because I felt I wasn't getting any more definition. Then I did a fruit bowl the day and stopped because the 3 greens I have were used in the background. So the grapes disappeared in the background. Oh, Jamie, you're not sounding like you're having much luck. Jody, you just keep trying. Jamie, that's all I can say, just keep trying. And don't be in a rush. A pencil is a very patient medium to use, especially if you're aiming for realism. So you need to make sure that you aren't rushing it. Jody says, off topic, are your Ridgebacks super protective? We knew someone who had 4 and all of them were mean, but I read they are great family dogs. Your babies are so adorable. They are very protective, but they love people as well. The only thing with Taylor, my eldest girl, she doesn't like other dogs apart from Honey. So we just can't have other pets, but they're fine with people. And also when my boyfriend's home, Taylor and Honey are totally relaxed and mellowed. When he's not home, they are definitely on a higher alert and much more protective. So if I have to walk them on my own, you can see that Taylor is quite dominant and she's very alert. But the minute my boyfriend walks with us, she's relaxed. So she obviously knows that he's the alpha, I guess, in a way. So she's not fussed about protecting me when he's around, but when he's not around, she's super protective. If someone just walks towards us while I'm walking her on my own, she gets her hackles up and she stands really tall, and it's pretty freaky for other people. So I think she might, harm you if you try and harm me, but otherwise she'll just sort of make herself seem scary to chase you off. But apart from that, they're definitely not mean. They just have a big bark. Marie says, forgive me if I sound simple. I'm shipping some artwork to the States from UK and it smells pretty strong still. Is it okay to ship? Well, what did you use? If it's oils, then I'd say wait a long time before you do that. Wait 4 or 5 weeks, depending on how thick the oils are. What does it smell like? What did you use? Oh, it smells like solvent? What solvent did you use? Your dog barks at shadows. Okay, carry on. Okay, so I still want this to be a fair bit darker than what it is now, but if I want to add any more layers, I'm going to have to spray it with fixative. But before I do that, I'm going to block in the leaf. So the color that I mainly want to use on the leaf is the 640.3 permanent green shade. Okay. So the details of the leaf I will add with my pencils. So this is also just going to be like a base layer of color. You use Zest-it. It shouldn't smell. I hope it's not saturated in Zest-it. And at least it's not an unpleasant smell, I guess, because it will smell like oranges. Jody says that her German Shepherd is the same way. Yeah, I think just with bigger dogs, they come across as being mean because they have a bigger bark, and because of the size of them, it's a lot more intimidating than if a little dog is going to do the same. So that's why it can seem quite scary. It's even scarier to people who aren't really animal people, so they don't understand what a behavior of an animal means. So if they don't understand the behavior of the animal, they think that it's being aggressive, meanwhile it's just being what a dog is supposed to be. So yeah, it's just how you understand animal behavior. I learned a lot when I got my girls, because I didn't really have pets before them. I've always been an animal lover, and I've never really had my own pets. And we had a family dog, small family dog, for a long time, but nothing compared to what we have. So it's also about training the human. So I went to puppy school classes with Honey, and I learned a lot about animal behaviors and stuff, and what to look out for as being a sign of, you know, something that needs work, or just being a sign of animal behavior and how to interpret that behavior. So a lot of humans need a lot of education about pets as well. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna use this beautiful, I'm gonna use the yellow, the bright yellow green tint, to do the center vein section. What are you two doing? In and out, in and out. Oh, Taylor's holding the ball for me. She wants to go play. Don't bump the camera. If you're going to go in there, stay in there. You're going to stay there. They've both squeezed in under the table, and I don't mind if they stay, but they just keep going in and out, and they brush past the camera. Don't touch the camera. Okay, I'm gonna spray this now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover, where are they? I'm gonna cover, I'll just move my PanPastels out the way. I'm more concerned about my brush and pencil textured fixative than I am my Micador, because a brush and pencil texture fixative, when that stuff gets on your things, it's just mission impossible in getting it off. And then I'm going to cover my iPad screen. Okie dokes. Oh yes, Marie, it's fine to ship. It's fine to ship. Okay, so using my Micador workable fixative. Stephanie says I sound just like a mom. They are, they're my kids. Nanette says every now and then I blow the pastel dust off my picture for you. You're very welcome. I know when you see a bit of dust on a computer screen, like you itching to remove it, even though it's not there. Jody says absolutely, humans can be a source of the problem, especially with the little ones. Yep. Because a lot of people that own really small dogs, they're not too fussed about teaching them a lot of discipline because they're so small. They're easy to sort of manhandle. But with a big dog, you do have to make the effort of going through training because you can't manhandle a dog that size. My two dogs, they're stronger than me, even individually. And they weigh almost 40 kilos, so they're pretty big. And yeah, so you just have to be careful. And then those that aren't used to big dogs, it's easy for them to have an issue with them. But it depends. It depends. You guys all seem to be real animal people, so I think you understand what I mean. Stephanie's asking, do I buy my PanPastels individually or in sets? I bought the full sets. Let me just spray this. I love how this Micador makes the PanPastels look more pigmented. It reminds me of when you put the solvent on your Prismacolor pencils. Just makes it brighter. Okay, come outside, out the room. Okay. Just for a few seconds. Okay, so I'll give that a few seconds to dry. It shouldn't take too long. You usually don't have to wait as long as what you have to wait for the brush and pencil fixative to dry. Wow, you have a Great Dane! I love Great Danes. 67 kilos. That's crazy. My boyfriend's brother he's got 3 Pyrenees mountain dogs. And his biggest one, Aurora, she's almost 80 kilos. She's a big dog. But yeah, I just love big dogs. I guess a lot of people, they like big dogs or they like small dogs or they like both, but I think I'll always be a big dog person. I like having the real big dogs. She once took you skiing on a gravel path, trying to meet another dog. Yeah, I have to put Holties on my girls, unfortunately, because Honey, she's very friendly and she would love to meet any person or any dog. So at least with the Holtie, I control her head, and if I pull on the Holtie just slightly, it moves her head sideways, so she can't use her strength to pull me. But the minute it's around her neck, doesn't matter. If I use a choker, which I don't like, she just keeps choking herself. She doesn't learn that if she stops pulling, it will stop choking, so I don't use that. And a harness, forget it. She's way too powerful. So I need to use a Holti for her, otherwise they just take off. The bigger the better. Oh, Maureen's got a Shih Tzu and a miniature poodle. That's cute. Marie says, also because many people carry smaller dogs gives the dogs a sense of dominance as they are literally higher. That's why you would get so many overconfident little dogs that think they are pit bulls. That is so true. That is very true. I love cats. I would love to have a cat, but they just wander off everywhere. I always had a cat growing up. So I had a chocolate point Siamese, 2 chocolate point Siamese. The first one was Sky and the second one I called Top Deck. Stephanie, I'm so sorry you don't have all the colors. But you don't need them, so you can use your pencils or improvise. I mean, it's a pink praying mantis. You can pick whatever colors you like. Maybe even go with purples. Purples or go with yellows. You could maybe be creative. Pick something crazy. Ooh, a Persian cat. Oh. Yes, share pics of your animals on Patreon. I'd love that. Okay, let's go with layer number 2. And now it's dry enough for me to go crazy. So let's put these back. So using the blue again, or the 560.1 Phthalo Blue Extra Dark. It's really going to come out nice and dark now. It might help if I uncover my iPad so I can see. Oh. I always love second and third layers because then you really get your colors you want. Oh, you've got a house cat on Instagram, Mr. Ziggy Persian. Oh, I gotta check that out. Please send it to me in a comment so I don't forget. You got his brother, the grumpy cat. Yes, you can add some black with the green as long as you're mixing enough green with the black so the black doesn't look flat. But definitely, you could use the black. Oh wow, Majin, I can see that. I'd love to see the full picture. Yeah, cats can be quite quite nasty. I love their temperaments though. It's like they're deliberate children that do things just to piss you off. Okay. There's a little bit of like shadowy areas here. Now using some of the permanent green extra dark 640.1. Using the bright yellow green shade 680.3. I love how you guys all love your animals so much. I really wish everyone was like that. There's so many people, you talk about your animal being inside, lying on your bed, getting a bath all like at least once a month, and they're like crazy. They look at you as if you're crazy for spending effort like that on an animal. Okay. Can use some of the chrome ox green extra dark. I'm thinking I might go the black, get the black out as well. Or I might use my pencils. If I need to go darker. I'm gonna use a bit of the raw umber shade. Let's add in some of those warm tones. Okay. Okay, so there is this really bright luminous green that I want to try. So it's the 220.3 Hansa yellow shade. Oh, yes. Okay, using my square like spongy, I'm going to put that color in here. And then using the bright yellow green tint to lighten up some of those areas. Okay, and then just making the transition between them a little smoother. and I think I'm gonna get the black. I don't think I have it here. I totally agree with you, Jamie. If you're worried about security, then get a security system. Don't use a dog to be pretend security. Just so it can be outside all the time. You see so many of that. Poor dogs are so lonely. Just so that they can be an alert system if someone's close by. Yeah, that's true. If I make donations, it's to animal shelters or to animals, nothing else. I'm a big advocate of the Rhino project as well. I totally agree, Marie. Animal people are my kind of people. Okay, I'm using black. To enhance those real dark corners. Yes. And then, because you see how the color is really moving around a lot now, so I have to, I'm getting to the point where I need to spray it with a layer of fixative again. Okay, so the dark is as dark as I'd like it, which is good. Now I would like to enhance that green again. Put some of this green, which is the permanent green shade, on the edges here. And here. And then use some of the bright yellow green tint. Okay, so I don't want to be overworking this now. But using a bit of the bright yellow green shade. I'm happy with that. So I want to do another layer. I think I'll use the permanent green extra dark. Jamie also watched my girls in the shower. I bribe them by throwing treats in the shower, and then I wait for them to go in, and then I quickly close the shower door to trap them. And then I'll get into my swimwear and just hop in the shower with them, because at least with the shower hose you can wash the dog quite easily. It's much better than trying to stress the poor thing out by getting one of those dog washing vans that come up. Okay, anyways, I really like that, and I think I'm actually going to leave it at that and not worry too much about the background until maybe later. I will spray it with a layer of fixative first, and then we will remove the masking fluid and get going on the praying mantis. So it's not even 12 o'clock yet, so I think we're doing really well for time, and we will get this image finished. That is for sure. So just moving some of these things aside, covering my screen. Oh no, I forgot to record. Ugh. So there's going to be pieces missing on my DSLR. Seriously, I wish it would just record. Why does it have to stop every 12 minutes? It's so silly. Covering things. Move my tea. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna start peeling the masking fluid off. Okay. Right, so now I'm going to put my PanPastels just out of the way. And then I'm going to look for some colors. So I'm going to be using my color swatches. And I don't know how easily we'll see this on the iPad. But it's not too bad. You can see my light reflecting here, but just ignore that. Okay, so now looking at my reference, I want to start finding my colors. Ooh. So this is my Prismacolor swatch, and I can already see heaps of relevant colors. Look at that. That looks marvelous. Okay, so PC 934. See, now with my pencil trays, it's not all that easy to see the numbers, but anyways, we'll find it. PC 934, it's the purple ones. PC 934. So like a light purple. There we go. So PC 934, which is my lavender color. PC 931. PC 931 is like a dark, very dark purple. Ooh. So the dark purple, PC 931. So that really beautiful light color is going to be PC 1026. Which is the grade lavender. Yeah, the time-lapse videos look really cool with the clock, so that also shows you guys that I'm not lying about the time. But this is obviously my time. By you guys it would be totally different. But it is fun to watch the clock just zoom by when you're doing a time lapse. Okay, another nice purple is the PC 954. Is it 956? Which is lilac. Then we have 1009, which is dahlia purple. So I think I'm quite happy with those ranges. And then these funny colors in the bum area, lower back area. 1095, which I think is like a cherry, a black. No, 1095. Do I have it on here? It might be with the 1095 might be with the reddish tones maybe. can't find it. Okay, so I might look for that color in I could use 1078 instead. No, 1095, I really want that color. Did I take it out already, maybe? No. Okay, we'll use 1078. And then the greens, ooh, let's use 937 for those red tones. Yes, 937. There we go, Tuscan red. And for the greens, ooh, 911 or 109. 109. Let's put them back. Which was it? 911 or 109? 1091. So 1091, which is the green ochre. And then for the real dark green, but we will use 988, which is the marine green. Okay, so that's our Prismacolor pencils. Now we'll look for our Polychromos, which we probably don't even need them. Manganese violet and violet. So we've got violet, manganese violet, and I think I'm going to leave it at that because we literally got the whole color range out of our Prismacolor sets. So we don't need to have that many. If I do feel like I need to put real fine detail in and my Prismacolors are just not doing good enough, then I will change it up. So I'm just quickly going to sharpen some of these with my electric sharpener. So I'm going to put the microphone on mute and so that it's not too loud, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so now I've got some really nice sharp pencils. I use my electric School Smart sharpener to get these points that sharp. And look, these are my Prismacolor pencils that have such a sharp point. Isn't that amazing? And because you're not using so much pressure with your hand, when sharpening your pencils manually. The electric sharpener takes away that pressure, and that's why I think it's able to give it such a nice, beautiful point. Okay. So putting my iPad back where it was. Okay, I think I'm just going to take a quick little break, 5 minutes, and then we'll get started on this. Might just get some more tea. Joanna's asking if I tried the Derwent Color Soft. No, I haven't. It's so bad. Like I'm so stuck on my Prismacolors and my Polychromos pencils that I sort of just stick to them. I've got a few sets that I haven't tried yet, but because I mainly teach with these, I sort of want to stick to it so that those that buy materials to do things with me don't have to buy 100 different types of materials. So I would refer people to Lisa's channel and to other channels like the Art Gear Guide on YouTube if they want reviews on other kinds of pencils. And then, yeah, so at least in my tutorials you can still follow the same things with the same supplies without using a lot of different supplies. Yeah, so I'm not one of those that are going to use different supplies all the time. Every once in a while I might try something different, but I mostly try and stick to roughly the same supplies so that people can try it with me, especially my students on Patreon. Okay, so the video is going to look like it's lagging for a little bit, but it will just have the sort of pending circle going while I pause the stream, but I won't take long. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. I just got myself some fruit and some water. Jamie says, I was looking at buying a white luminance pencil off eBay. $15 plus $8 delivery from the UK. I know. They are ridiculous. The luminance pencils are beautiful pencils, I'll admit. I've used them once or twice. Well, I've used them a couple of times and I love them. But they are just too expensive to replace individually. I'd rather buy 3 pencils off Prismacolor for the same price of one luminance pencil. Even though the quality of the Prismacolor pencils is not as good as the luminance, it still has a wider color range and I'm sort of okay to just deal with it. Rather just buy a bunch of white Prismacolor ones for the same price, and then if one of your white Prismacolor pencils just breaks all the time, you don't have to feel so bad about it because it wasn't so expensive. So I'm just having some rock melon. I'm just having a quick bite because I'm pretty hungry. Yeah, Jamie, you need to get them online. Jody, I don't worry too much about light fastness. I do like to use an archival protective spray, varnish over the top, and that protects any sort of light from damaging whatever image is below it. So as an alternative to using extreme light fast pencils, I just protect the artwork by using a proper varnish. I'll show you which one I use. So I use, there's two, so you got a matte and a gloss. It's the golden varnishes. So the golden brand is very, very good brand. And all you do is when you're done with your drawing, you spray it with a final fixative, whatever brand you're using. And then a few days later, you'll use the archival varnish in a couple of layers. And this will protect your paper. So this is the same stuff that Leona Alyona uses from Brush and Pencil. She's the one that suggested it to me. And this protective varnish is so good that you don't even have to put glass over your work when you frame it. This will protect it. You don't even have to use the glass. So yeah. May as well leave that cupboard open because I'm going in there so many times. Stephanie, I use the Brush and Pencil Final Fixative. So when I've finished the drawing, so let's say for instance I want to use an archival spray or varnish on this one, I would finish the drawing, I'd spray it with the Final Fixative, usually leave it for a couple of days, and then I would use a archival PVA glue, cut a piece of MDF board the same size as my drawing, glue my drawing flat onto the MDF board, and then I would spray it with the varnish. And I might do 2 or 3 layers over 2 or 3 days, so you can have a look at it. Make it very strong and very hard. And then you can take that whole board and you can just use it like that. You don't have to frame it or put glass over it or anything. Or if you want to, you could frame it. So up to you. That's a great way to save money on framing. Just put on a nice board. Okay. I'm sorry I'm eating. I'm so hungry. I had a smoothie bowl for breakfast and tea. And that was at like 8 o'clock. Radio. So now that we've picked our colors, we can finally start. So one thing I just want to check. The snout area, it's sort of like a translucent look. So if you look closely, it's got sort of grays and greens in it. But we're going to focus that on in a little while. So I'm going to look at my blurred reference now. So just go check on Patreon if you want to have a closer look at your blurred reference. And let me get mine up. So using my blurred image, which looks like this. Not as much detail. So the that's the high definition image. and that's the blurred one. So I'm going to use the blurred one now to put in my base colors. And if I do it that way, the details are not sort of making me confused. So using where's the color ranges that I had? This one. So using the 1009, which is my Dahlia purple, you can, if you don't want to get your drawing too dirty or your hand too dirty, you can just lean it onto a piece of paper towel or plastic or something. So let's zoom right in. Yay, I can finally zoom in like that and you guys can see all the details. Ooh. Whereas before you couldn't. Not so much. Okay, so I'm going to remove the little reference. You've got the blurry reference available to you if you need it. So let's just have it like that for now. You should be able to watch this on full screen because it is at 1080p. So you should see enough detail. Much more than you did in my previous streams. Okay, you're welcome, Stephanie. Okay, so you would probably have the details of your outline on here. I'm not going to worry about outlining it with a pencil. I'm just going to use just pay attention to my reference. So I'm holding the pencil sort of sideways. So I'm using the side of the tip of the pencil. If I were to use the very tip, this is what you'd see. But I'm using this side. So it's almost completely against the paper, but not quite. So I'm using the side of the tip of the pencil. And this is how I actually usually draw. And I didn't realize the importance of explaining this until I started doing my workshops. And I could see that the way people were holding their pencils was having a big effect on them applying too much pressure to their drawing. So I don't want to apply pressure. I want to always apply light layers. So if you're worried about applying too much pressure, hold the back of your pencil like this and use the side of the tip of your pencil, and then you'll feel that you cannot put on too much pressure if your hand is at the back of the pencil. The closer to the tip of the pencil you are, the more pressure you are going to automatically place onto your drawing paper. Okay, so again, using the Dahlia Purple PC1009. Oh, let me remember to record this. Far out. I'm using the side of the tip of the pencil and paying attention to my reference, and I can see how far this, and I'm paying attention to my blurry reference. Just keep that in mind. And then I'm not sure which one of you asked me about the solvent or having issues with the solvent and when to apply it. I will be able to at least show you that. So you'll understand what I mean by applying layers with your pencils before applying your solvent. You don't just want to add one layer of pencil and then apply your solvent. So if you are looking at the blurry reference, you will know why I am coloring in these areas, because you should see it on your blurry reference. When you want to create a little bit more detail, you can move your hand a little closer to the tip, and you can have the pencil at a little bit more of an angle, and then you can work those finer areas. So notice I'm not using pressure, which is good, because with Prismacolor, the minute you apply pressure, you'll break your point, especially if it's at a point that's this sharp. So you don't want to use pressure. You don't have to use pressure. So you can keep your points nice and sharp. I very rarely use a burnishing technique. I don't like the burnishing technique, but there are a lot of artists online that do like to use it, so it's really up to you. It's all personal preference. I don't like to use it because I have very weak wrists, and I just prefer to save the tooth of my paper for the entire drawing. I don't want to have to destroy the tooth of the paper by the end of the drawing. Not that it matters. I mean, sometimes I destroy the tooth of my paper by using an etching tool. Okay, so now I'm going to come into the winged sort of leg area with this pencil as well. Same color still. I'm still using the Dahlia Purple PC1009. Oh, great. Thanks, Stephanie, for saying it's awesome in full screen. I'm really glad to hear that, because I haven't been able to use this camera in the last few streams. Some of your patrons will be able to, or my patrons will be able to tell you that they weren't so great. It wouldn't have seen this amount of detail, so I'm glad it's finally working out. So changing the hard drive in my poor little laptop was definitely the way to go. Okay, I like that. Now I'm trying to see where else I'd use this color. I'd also use this color in this section between the legs. I'd use a little bit in this wing area on the praying mantis. So this is sort of just going to help me create form and a little bit of value to make it easy to identify areas that I'm working on. Also, there's a little bit of an area over here that would use this color. I did freehand my outline, so it's not going to be perfect. So if you have your outline transferred, then you'll have a very, very good outline. Okay, so the next color I'm going to compare to my reference. Yes, Jamie, I removed it because I'll show you if I put it back on there, it's in the way of the back leg. So it is available on Patreon if you need it. So, and you'll get a better look of it anyways. I'm just looking for my next color. I'm going to use a little bit of my Lilac PC956, and I'm going to go over the color I just put down and just go a little bit further to the sides of it, just to extend that color out a bit more. I love the background. I'm very, very happy with how the background turned out. It's just so soft and it really brings your eyes to the praying mantis. And this praying mantis is beautiful. See, unfortunately, there's not many photos that you find like this except on places like iStock Photo and that. So it's, yeah, it's difficult. It is nicer to be able to use your own references or references from friends, because it just makes it more personal. But I'm not too fussed about it because I'm using it for the sake of teaching, not so much to sell the artwork. Actually, I can't even remember the last time I sold an artwork. I still own most of my originals. So to me, it's more about the teaching, not so much about the selling the art part of things. So I made this little leg section way too thick, so it's supposed to be a fair bit darker than that. I mean smaller than that. So I'm going to look for a pencil that matches that background color the closest. I'd probably say number 109. Do I have it out? How lucky would that be? No. So PC 109. Uh, 1090. So which is the kelp green, PC 1090. And I'm going to make this leg darker so that it's thinner. So I'm sort of just carrying on with the background because that front leg is just too thick. So I'm using this color, PC 1090. There should be a 1090, not O. I always do that. Okay, it's a bit better. And I might just do the same over here. And over here. And just to make it a little even, I'll add a bit of it here. so it doesn't look like I just randomly added a green in there. Okay, so that's one way you can sort of fix your outline a little bit, by finding the nearest background color if you've used PanPastels, finding the nearest background pencil color, and then just adjusting the outline a little. Okay, so I'm coming back in with my Lilac PC956. Paying close attention to my blurry reference so I can block in my values. So this is sort of like a base color, my mid-tone base color. So this is how you want to build up your layers. You want to slowly build up the values and still mix your colors, so pay attention to the colors in your reference. Always keep your swatches handy if you're not confident in picking colors just flat from the tray. It's hard to pick colors from the tray because the casing does not match the core color 90% of the time, so it does make it a little bit difficult. Okay, now some of these tones are a bit brighter, so using my swatch, comparing it to my blurry reference, I want number 1009, which is the Dahlia Purple 1009, and that's the color we used earlier. And I want more of a reddish tone, I think, so maybe I'll go So I'm going to use the Tuscan Red PC937. Now use this color very lightly because it's quite an overpowering color. And remember, when we blend with solvent, it's going to bring the pigment out even more. So Tuscan Red PC937. This back leg has a lot of these nice red purple tones in, so I'm going to go over some of the purple that we've already established. Holding my pencil in the back, using the side of the tip of the pencil, not using a lot of pressure. That's how I hold my pencil, and that's how I apply my first layers. I'm looking at my blurry reference, not the detailed reference, and this at least helps me focus on the base colors and ignore the details, because the details don't need to be there yet. So this is a great way to form your foundation. So it looks like I'm using about 90% Prismacolor, 10% Polychromos, just because the Prismacolor set has really had the colors perfect for this. So these colors are very overpowering color, so just be careful. Do not press hard. And it's more the back section that has this color, not the front. So I won't be adding it to the front. I will be adding a very, very light layer over here. And because I created this arch a little bit too big when it should be lower, I'm going to use my Grade Lavender PC1026, and it should make that area a bit lighter. And just over that green, just make it a smidge lighter. That's fine. And then using my Tuscan Red, I'm going to put a light layer over that section of the back leg. Okay, and a bit of this color is showing up over here. Right, now using my lightest color, I'm using the Grade Lavender PC1026. Nanette says it's getting late here and her wine glass is empty. She says she'll catch up on the rest in the morning. Thanks, Shells. Good night. Good night, Nanette. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So using this, I'm going to just use the tip of the side of my pencil, and I'm just going to block in that color right there. That's all I need to do right now. Block it in. Same with this section here. Block it in. Not worried about details. This leg is very light as well, so blocking that in, and these areas around the bottom, legs. So these little legs need to be a lot smaller, but we'll focus on them later. Okay. Now we can keep building our values. So looking at the reference, I want to build up a little bit more on 934. A little bit more with that, and a little bit more with 1009. So these two colors that we used first. I think I'll start off with 1009. And build up this area a bit more. I actually think that I want to come in with 995, 994. PC994. So that's got that really pink purple tone that I've been looking for. Yes, that's perfect. So I'm always looking at my reference. I'm looking up so many times. I'm probably looking up just as much as when I'm looking at my drawing. Stephanie says she wasn't paying attention. Which part? So I'm using PC994, which is processed red. Excuse me. So that's a new color I just took out of my palette. So notice I still haven't blended with my solvent. You want to have a few of these layers before you start blending with your solvent. Okay, now I'm going to use my lavender PC934. Stephanie's asking, does anyone else find it hard to get used to using a blurring photo to start with? Kind of drives me nuts. Yeah, when you're looking at a blurry photo, don't look at the whole photo, just look at the pieces you're working on to get your foundation colors. If you are okay with using a detailed reference straight up, then do that. So it's whatever works for you. Ronnie says Prismacolor won't honor their guarantee. For 4 weeks they said they were sending a replacement set, then said they won't post to Australia. I ended up with a set of split pencils that are useless. Oh no, Ronnie, that's terrible. I get all my stuff from Eckersley's and I find that they really make the effort of wrapping everything up properly. So maybe it's worth getting your Prismacolors from Eckersley's. I'm sorry you can't get them replaced. Jamie says Lisa doesn't think much of Prismacolors. No, Lisa, she uses a lot of different suppliers, so she does focus on light fastness and things like that, whereas I don't. But she definitely does use the higher quality, better quality pencils, which are the Luminance pencils. So again, really it's up to you. It's all personal preference. So you have to decide what's going to work for you. Ronnie, you know you can rewind a live stream. You don't have to be on cue with the stream if you wanted to backtrack a little, but feel free to keep watching and try again later. So Margine agrees that the blurriness hurts her eyes. Yeah, so you decide what works for you. If you don't want to use a blurry reference, then don't. Okay, Ronnie, yeah, do that. If you can afford to buy the Luminance pencils and you're happy with that, then go for it. Okay. So I'm still using the lavender PC934. You want to stay live. Yeah. 3:30 at Jackson's Art, that's expensive. Someone told me that you could get them for about $3 somewhere. I'll see if I can find that email or message. For me, that's still a lot for one pencil. I only pay $1.20 for a Prismacolor pencil. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer to being ready to blend with a solvent. Okay, I'm happy with that for the moment. I'm going to blend with my solvent and then reassess. Ronnie, why do you buy in the UK? You can get pretty much all the stuff I'm using, you can get in Australia. You can get the Zest-it here too, so the artshop.com.au, they have the Zest-it solvents. The art shop has cheap Prismacolor pencils, individual ones, Ronnie. theartshop.com.au. Make sure you say the in front of it, not just art shop. Oh, that's for the Prismacolors though. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Prismacolors. Okay, solvent. So I've got this cute little box. So I've got some tea towels or tissue paper, and I've got my solvent in a bottle like this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. I'm going to take a brush. I need a smaller brush. It's under the table. So I'm just using a number 2 round brush that I didn't put that on properly. Oh no, that's gonna annoy the hell out of me. Okay, so I'm dipping it in my solvent. So usually what I do is I dip and dab. So I dip it in my solvent, I dab any excess off, and then I blend. Dip and dab. You don't want too much solvent. You just want to use very, very light layers of solvent. I need to find another brush. This is going to annoy me. Oh. Okay, this one's better. Ugh. So hopefully this will show you how little solvent I use. I'm always dipping and dabbing. I'm never using excess solvent, never enough to saturate my paper. So my drawing is going to start looking like the blurry reference, which is good because your base layers should always look like that. They shouldn't have any detail. They will end up looking like a blurry picture. Thanks, Maureen. I learned that very quickly. No, I grabbed a brush that I use in my workshops, and someone had placed the plastic thing back on because they were brand new brushes. But I'll make a point of telling them not to do that in the next one. So Jamie's asking me, can you explain the thinking behind where you blend and why? I think I blend wrong. So there's no specific thinking about where I blend, but I blend everywhere. So I'll create a layer like this with my colored pencils, and I will blend everything that I've created a layer for. So it's not like I'm picking a section to blend. I'm blending all of it, apart from the background, of course. So some people prefer to work section by section, but for this image, I'm happy to work on the same thing at the same time. Well, work on the entire area, not just section by section. So that's why I'm blending the whole thing now, and that's why I layered the whole thing first before starting the blending process. So that's a little bit of a difficult one to explain. There's no step-by-step way of doing it. When I'm layering, I'm always checking my colors, comparing it to my reference, and then slowly layering the value of different areas. And that's why I use the blurry reference, because it's easy to see value without worrying about the details confusing you. And then that makes it easier for you to put down your foundation colors or your base colors. Okay, so Prismacolors are $2.20. Oh, yes. So I guess I get them for cheaper because I've got a trade account with Eckersley's, but I think $2.20 is the cheapest you're going to get for an individual pencil without having to still convert and exchange rates and worry about too much postage. So you can get Zest-it from them. I think you can get a bottle for $13, the 120ml bottles, which will last you a very long time. And then they have a flat rate shipping fee of $9.90. So if you buy things that are really heavy, it's only going to cost you $9.90. You're not going to end up paying more, which is good. But if you're going to buy individual pencils, then you want to buy quite a few to make the postage worthwhile. So I'm still taking my time blending. The method to blend is to use very little on your brush. Dip it in your solvent, dab it on your paper towel before you apply it to your paper. I think too many people use way too much solvent too quickly, and then you blend all your colors more than what you want to in your first layer, and then you end up layering more, or you just become confused because you were in too much of a hurry and put too much solvent down too quickly. Blending with your solvent also needs to be a slow process. Okay. Yeah, the art shop should be cheaper. So between the art shop and Eckersley's, those will probably be your best prices. And I think the art shop, for someone who just has a normal account, will still be cheaper than Eckersley's. So I usually do half and half. So even though I got a trade account with Eckersley's, sometimes I can still get my stuff cheaper from the art shop, and I don't have a trade account with them. So for my workshops, because I supply everything, I bought 15 sets of everything. So that cost a lot of money. So I bought 15 sets of the 24 sets of Polychromos, 15 sets of the 24 set pencils of the Prismacolors, 15 Zest-it solvent bottles, and then all the other odds and ends like a sharpener, like an etching needle, and all that sort of stuff as well, which wasn't too expensive. But I mean, the pencil sets, when you buy so many at once, is like $3,000 gone for those sets. So then you know you better work well at advertising your workshops so that you can get that money back. But yeah, so trade account has definitely helped me with Eckersley's to buy bulk for my workshops. Okay, did you guys notice how long that took me to just blend the one layer, or just, you know, blend over everything? I'm not even quite done yet. So you really got to take your time with blending and not use a lot on your brush. So that is the key thing. I think too many people just rush it and they saturate their drawing in solvent too quickly, and it just that's what makes the blending and layering process a little bit harder, because you just need too much of a rush. Yeah, Zest-it smells nice, but I still find it quite a strong. It's a very strong citrus smell. It fills the whole room. Okay, so that's what I call my first official layer that's been blended with solvent. No, unfortunately they don't get cheaper the more you buy. That would have been good. Okay, so I love the way that's looking, so I will zoom out a little so you can get an overall view. So that's what it's like at the moment. The background looks nice and soft and gentle. I think I'm going to do the praying mantis first before I do the details on the leaf. So now I'm quite satisfied with the use of my blurred one, so now I'm going to look at the details of the praying mantis, and I am gonna start working on the backside area and start putting in detail. So I'm noticing the very tippy tip part of the bum has a very dark spot on it, so I think I'm gonna use indigo blue. So I'm going to use my Prismacolor Indigo Blue. I'll just sharpen it with a regular sharpener. gosh, I do that so much. Right. Now paying attention to my reference. Oh, let me zoom back in. I can see the spot there. And the real little highlights that you notice on things like that, you can add later. So I might either use my titanium white, or I would use my white fine tip paint marker. Okay, so I just use PC901 indigo blue to put that in. And I'm gonna use the same blue just on the very edge over here. If you look closely at your reference, you'll see why I'm using this blue over here. I'm using a very thin line. I'm going to distinguish that dividing line between the back and the back leg over here. Okay. I'm also going to use the indigo blue on the top of the back leg. So if you want to know why I'm adding things like this in, look at the reference, and then it'll make sense to you. There's also this really fine little blue line over here. A tiny one. And then I'm also adding some of the indigo blue in the front of the leg. A little bit of a shadow. I'm also making sure I have a very, very sharp point and not using any pressure. But there's a very, very fine line here in the crease of the leg, the front leg. Okay. I'm okay with that for now. Right. So, white. Using my white Prismacolor pencil PC938. Sandra's asking me, will my next Udemy course be ready soon? I haven't even started it. So what happened is a few months ago I started doing workshops on weekends, and the interest for the workshops actually got so high that I started doing workshops in 3 different local towns. So I've been doing workshops almost every weekend, and because of that I just haven't, on top of what I do on Patreon and commissions and things like that, I just haven't had the chance to even put a minute into the Udemy course. So that's going to be next year sometime, hopefully, but unfortunately not anytime soon. I'm really sorry. Okay, so paying attention to the reference. I know I say that a million times, but you really do need to be looking at your reference all the time. I'm using the white. And I'm using it to establish some of those highlighted areas. And just doing your highlights correctly like this just makes it so 3D. Well, it just gives it so much three-dimensional form, so it just looks nice and real. So usually a highlight is just above a shadow. So if you can notice where those highlights are and where those shadows are, it's going to help you a lot. Starting to get more shape. I love the way this is looking. And this is only the second layer, so we still have a lot we can be doing. A lot we will be doing. Okay. So I do want to come in quick with the Tuscan Red PC937 and put in these like veiny, almost veiny sort of patterns on the back area. And I think what I will do is, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna have a lunch break, and then I actually need to duck out and go do some grocery shopping for the week, and then I will come back tomorrow same time and finish off the detailing. Does that sound okay? It's actually nicer to do it sort of over 2 days just to break it up. Because sitting non-stop in front of an artwork for this long can sometimes you just feel you need to step away from it. Not that I'm feeling that way, I'm just saying it's good to have little breaks in between. Maureen says record. What's a record? What did you post to my page, Maureen? Let's check it out. Thanks, Marie. I got your message for your cat's Instagram. You know what? Patreon doesn't notify me when someone posts to the community page. Like, I get an email, but I don't get a Patreon notification in the notifications section. And not all my Patreon ones come through. Oh, Patches. Maureen's dog is Patches. And check out the community page on Patreon. So cute. Oh, wow. Jeez, Camilla posted a drawing she did of a bird. Holy moly, that looks amazing. When did she post that? So, it's the 29th of August, so I haven't even seen this. Patreon is so slack. I totally agree with your comment, George. I totally agree with you. Camilla, that's amazing. Okay, moving on. She is the Shih Tzu, yes. They look so similar. The Maltese Shih Tzu. Maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know. Okay, Stephanie is happy with that. She says it would give her a chance to get hers going and she can catch up to where I am now. Okay. Cool. So let me just add a bit more and then I will end the stream and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, so that is where we are at for the moment. And I forgot to record. Damn it. I need a little flashing thing in front of me to remind me. Now I don't even know what the last video recorded. I hope I didn't miss too much. Anyways. That gives me time now to take everything off of my SD card for my DSLR and I will be able to continue tomorrow. So I'll be back here again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I'll put on a little progress shot on my Patreon page and an update, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow.